In the year 2024, in Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, a 40-year-old woman, Latonya Harris, was fond of abusing and torturing her daughter, a 15-year-old girl named Tamara Johnson. She started abusing and torturing her when she was 4 years old, and this resulted to Tamara's abuse and torture being documented by the Department of Children and Family Services multiple times. Because of this, Timothy Johnson, who was the little girl's father, decided to take full custody of her. Tamara's life was now good. However, in the year 2022, she asked her father for permission to go back to her mother so that they can rebuild their mother-daughter relationship. During that time, her mother, Latonya, was living with her boyfriend, a 41-year-old man named Terrence Washington. So Tamara's father agreed, and later on, she joined her mother. Everything was good at the beginning, but few months later, Terrence began sexually abusing Tamara. And when Latonya found out about what her boyfriend had done to her daughter, she instead accused her daughter of seducing her boyfriend. The two entered into an argument, and Terrence came and shot Tamara, who got badly wounded. They didn't take her to the hospital. Surprisingly, the following night, Latonya poured flammable liquid on her daughter's face and lit a fire on her. Tamara was badly burned, and an argument broke out between her and her mother. Terrence came and shot Tamara again. Fearing that he would be arrested for what he had done to the teenager, he took all of them and they fled to Texas. At that time, Tamara was clinging to her life. It was so sad and unfortunate for Latonya to join her boyfriend in torturing and abusing her own daughter, leaving her for the dead. This is the story of the 15-year-old girl Tamara. Tamara Johnson was born in the year 2009 in Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Her father was known as Timothy Johnson, and her mother was Latonya Harris. However, her parents were living separately, so the little girl was staying with her mother. Unfortunately, her mother started abusing her when she was 4 years old, and the abuse was documented by Department of Children and Family Services. In April 2013, Latonya again had physically abused her daughter so much that it was again documented by the Department of Children and Family Services. The family could not take it anymore, so they went for outside services. Tamara was then placed in a foster care for a short period of time. However, after she returned home from foster care, her mother continued abusing her. In fact, in the year 2017, Tamara was left stranded on the side of the road after being deserted by her mother. After the girl was found, her father Timothy Johnson took full custody of her, and so Tamara lived with her father and her stepmother, a woman named Latonya Johnson. Latonya loved and cared for Tamara, who was her stepdaughter, as if she was her biological daughter. Tamara was able to go back to school, and she did great at grade school. She had a few years before she could join high school. She had an ambition to study and become an attorney when she grows up, so that she could help other children who suffer from abuse in the future. As time went by, she wanted to rebuild her relationship with her abusive biological mother. And so in May 2022, Tamara expressed her desire to reconnect with her biological mother, a 40-year-old woman known as Latonya Harris. So she talked to her father about it. Timothy agreed to his daughter's wish and allowed her to go and stay with her biological mother. At that time, her mother was living with her 41-year-old boyfriend, Terrence Washington, at West Park Avenue in Thibodaux, in Terrebonne, Louisiana, and they had a 10-year-old daughter. The couple had a very strong relationship, and Latonya would always refer to Terrence on social media as her future husband. So Tamara moved to live with her mother. Everything was perfect at the beginning. However, instead of Terrence and Latonya taking the children to school, they homeschooled them. For the past few months, Tamara was always in constant communication with her father, Timothy Johnson, and her stepmother, Latonya Johnson. A few months later, Terrence Washington started harassing Tamara. He physically and verbally abused her. Apart from that, he was also sexually abusing her. This torture and abuse continued for several months, and despite her mother knowing all these, she did nothing to help her daughter. Instead, she joined hands with her boyfriend, and together they abused her daughter. The torture of Tamara went on for several months without being noticed by the outsiders because the children were being homeschooled. Tamara's father and stepmother tried several times to reach her, but their communication was broken down. Even after trying different avenues to reach her, they still did not succeed, despite their residence being located just 20 minutes' drive from Terrence and Latonya's residence. Terrence continued sexually assaulting and abusing Tamara, and so on. 19th April 2024, she complained to her mother about the sexual abuse that she was receiving. The mother surprisingly accused her, now 15 years old daughter, of seducing her boyfriend. Surprisingly, when Terrence caught her arguing with her mother, he shot her in the chest. Tamara sustained a serious gunshot wound, but luckily she didn't die. Latonya was ready to do anything to protect her relationship with her boyfriend. So the following night, which was on 20th April 2024, she poured a flammable liquid on her daughter and lit it up. Her daughter was badly burned on the upper side of her face, and without any remorse, her boyfriend shot her again on the face. After doing this demonic act on Tamara, Latonya gave her home treatment. The two refused to take her to the hospital. Realizing that he could get caught and made to answer for the crimes he had committed against the little girl, he took the two minors and his girlfriend, and they left for Texas City. During their journey, Terrence was driving recklessly on eastbound Interstate 10 in Baytown, Texas. Unfortunately, their car crashed on the service road at around 11 p.m. at night. 911 were called to the scene. Soon the Baytown police officers arrived at the scene where the car had crashed. They found Terrence outside of the car holding a firearm. The situation forced them to immediately arrest and take him into custody. When they inspected the car, they found Latonya's 15-year-old daughter, who was severely injured. She had gunshot wounds on her chest and face area, and she was clinging to her life at the back seat of the car. They discovered that the wounds of Tamara were not related to the accident. Her upper body was badly burned in a gruesome manner. They also found Latonya Harris and a 10-year-old child inside the car. Unfortunately, Latonya had also sustained injuries during the crash, so the police called the medics who arrived and took them to a local hospital in Houston, Texas. Terrence was arrested by the Baytown Police Department, and he was taken to the police custody at the Harris County Correctional Facility in Texas. Meanwhile, their 10-year-old daughter, who was physically unarmed, was taken back to Louisiana by a family member. While in custody, the police began to interrogate Terrence. During the interrogation, Terrence admitted to the police that he was the one who shot Tamara in the face by mistake after his gun went off accidentally when the girl was arguing with her mother in their Louisiana home on April 19, 2024, and on April 20th. He also admitted to sexually abusing Tamara numerous months before. Terrence also confessed that Tamara was burned by her own mother after she had learned of the sexual abuse between him and Tamara. Before burning her daughter, she blamed her for being the reason why the abuse and torture happened. But according to Terrence, the events happened back in mid-February 2024, something which was not true. Terrence further added to the police officers that Latonya was treating the girl at home all by herself. Meanwhile, at the hospital, the doctors examined Tamara, and they discovered that 30% of her body had 3 to 4 degree burns. They also discovered untreated gunshot wounds to her chest and face. They started treating her, but unfortunately, half of her face had been burned off, and for that reason, one of her eyes had to be medically removed. The beautiful face of the little girl was now permanently disfigured, and she had lost multiple teeth. Tamara had a long road to recovery. She underwent several surgeries for skin grafts. After a cosmetic surgery had been done on her, the doctors booked her for another surgery to repair her palate and mouth. She would have more surgeries done on her before she could go home. On the 21st April 2024, Timothy got a call from a Houston hospital and Child Protective Services informing him about what had happened to his daughter. At first, he thought it was a joke, and so he hanged up. But when he realized that it was not a joke, he took his wife Latonya Johnson, and together they rushed to the hospital to see their daughter Tamara. Upon reaching the hospital, the doctor advised them to brace themselves before walking in Tamara's room, because what they would see might horrify them. When Timothy saw the condition which his daughter was in, he collapsed on the ground. As the investigations intensified, the police interviewed their 10-year-old daughter. The girl told the detectives that during Mardi Gras season, which took place in Louisiana, she woke up from her sleep only to find Latonya standing over Tamara with a bottle of rubbing alcohol and a lighter. She then rubbed the alcohol on Tamara's upper body and set her on fire. The minor also told the detectives that Tamara was shot twice on 2 different occasions in their home in Louisiana. After the interview with the minor, the police issued a search warrant for Terrence Washington's home. Soon the detectives arrived at Latonya and Terrence, dilapidated roadside trailer home in the 400 block of West Park Avenue in Thibodaux. They discovered that the house contained evidence of a shooting, which included bloodstains and a strong odor of infection and decomposing flesh. They also found a weapon inside the house. The home was immediately surrounded by yellow police tape as the investigations went on. As the investigation proceeded, the police also found out through the court records that Latonya Harris had pled guilty to child desertion back in the year 2017. However, she was appointed to enroll in a complete parenting class, amongst other things, such as commit no crime and comply with conditions, remain drug-free, enroll in the DAPI program for 6 months, substance abuse evaluation, and pay a fine of $150. After Latonya Harris was okay, she was discharged from Texas Hospital on May 9, 2024, and taken into custody at Terrebonne Parish Jail. Unfortunately, she declined to speak with the police officers. She was booked on charges of attempted first-degree murder, second-degree cruelty to a juvenile, domestic abuse, battery, and child endangerment. In addition to the charges, she was also being detained on a $1 million bond. Later on, she entered the pleas to the counts of second-degree cruelty to a child, domestic abuse, battery, and child endangerment. Her boyfriend, Terrence Washington, on the other hand, was booked on 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, second-degree cruelty to a juvenile, obstruction of justice, molestation of a juvenile, several counts of indecent behavior with a minor, and 5 counts of second-degree rape. Unfortunately, he was denied a bond. Terrence was held at the Harris County Detention Center. He was then extradited to Terrebonne County, where he and Latonya remained until their arraignment had been set on June 24, 2024. We hope that as the legal procedures takes place, Tamara, who suffered torture and abuse at the hands of her mother and her mother's boyfriend, will get the justice that she deserves. We also pray for her quick recovery. She was taken home to Louisiana by a family member, and she is being treated at an area hospital. The Johnson family set up a GoFundMe donation page to help pay for her lengthy medical procedures.